to be looking at factoring, which is just division for polynomials. And so the two vocab words that we need to focus on are what is a factor and what is the greatest common factor. So a factor is a number that multiplies into something. So like 2 and 3 are factors of 12. So is 6 or 1, 12, 4. All of those are factors. They all multiply into 12. The greatest common factor would be the biggest thing that multiplies into that number. So if I have the numbers 14 and 21 and I'm asking what is the biggest thing that multiplies into both of those, it would be 7. 7 multiplies into 14 and it multiplies into 21. And there's nothing bigger that multiplies into both. Okay, so if I'm asking you to find your greatest common factor, I'm looking for you to take out what multiplies into both of them. So here I have 3x minus 18. Well, 3 multiplies into both 3x and negative 18, so we get 3. And then in parentheses, we're going to write down what's left. So if I divide out that 3, what am I left with? 3x divided by 3 gives me x. Negative 18 divided by 3 gives me 6, so negative 6. And then that would be the factored form of that binomial. Same thing here, we're looking for the greatest common factor. Well, the biggest thing that multiplies into 4 and 10 would be 2. And then we would just divide it out and write down what's left. So 4x divided by 2 is 2x. Negative 10 divided by 2 is negative 5. Please pause the video at any time to try these on your own. Okay, here we're looking for the greatest common factor for 5x squared and negative 10x. So the coefficients, the biggest number that goes into 5 and 10 is 5. But we also have these x values. So I have 2 x's on the first monomial and 1 x on the other one. So I can take out an x from both of them. And then we're just writing down what's left. 5 divided by 5 is 1. I had 2 x's, I took out 1, so I'm left with 1x. Negative 10 divided by 5 is a negative 2. I had 1x, I took out an x. That's all that's left. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at factoring things that are bigger than taking out a monomial or greatest common factor. So we're going to look at factoring by grouping because, or using the box method. Factoring, like I said, is just division, and it's basically just the opposite of multiplication. So we're undoing the multiplication that we did in the last lesson. So here I'm going to fill in the inside of the box because this is the results from that multiplication problems that we did. So we have x squared, 2x squared, negative 5x, and negative 10. So from here, now we're going back to what we just did, and we're looking for that greatest common factor for each of those things. So for the first one, we're going to fill in this spot by looking at these two boxes. What did those two boxes have in common? What is the greatest common factor for those two boxes that I can take out for x squared and 2x squared? That should have been a cubed. Let me change that. Okay, so for x cubed and 2x squared, the greatest common factor would be x squared. Okay, now we're moving on to these next two boxes here. So negative 5x and negative 10. The greatest common factor is a negative 5. Same thing on the top. We're going to look at x cubed and negative 5x. Our greatest common factor would be x, just x, because the bottom one only has an x. And then the last two boxes here, we're looking at 2x squared and negative 10. So the greatest common factor for those are 2. And then you're just going to check, are the answers that you got, if I multiply them back in, do I get the original polynomial? So x squared times x is x cubed, we're good. X squared times 2 is 2x squared, we're good, and so on. Okay. So now you're going to take the answers that you got, so we have this piece here and this piece here, and write those in factored form. So we started with x cubed plus 2x squared minus 5x minus 10, and we factored those in two parentheses, and we got x squared minus minus 5 on the side, and x, and since that 2 is positive, we have a plus 2. That is the factored form of that polynomial. Okay, next example. We have 4x cubed minus 8x squared plus 6x minus 12. There's something special happening on this one. Notice that all of these are even. That means that we need to factor out our greatest common factor first, okay? So something that goes into all of these, if you look at your numbers, I would maybe check, does 4 go into everything? Well, 4 goes into 8 and 12, but it does not go into 6, so that's not going to be our greatest common factor. But since they are all even, 2 goes into all of them. So we get 2 times, and we're going to divide everything by 2. So 4 divided by 2 is 2x cubed minus 4x squared plus 3x minus 6. Okay, notice I did not lose the 2, I just factored it out. From here, we're going to fill in our box method, and we're going to factor. So we get 2x cubed, a negative 4x squared, 3x, and a negative 6. And then we're looking for the GCF so that we can fill in the outer boxes. Please pause the video and check your answer and see how you did. Okay, so filling these in, we get a 2x squared, a 3. On the top, we get an x and a negative 2. Go back, check, make sure that if you multiply everything together that those are what you get. And then our answer, we don't want to lose the 2, so that's going to be part of it. It'll be 2 times 2x squared plus 3. And x minus 2 is what we got on the top. That is our final answer. Notice we didn't lose anything, we just factored each piece.